Assalamu alaikum, my dear brothers and sisters. As we come close to 2026, many people are quietly feeling tired inside. On the outside, life looks normal. They smile, they carry on, they do what needs to be done. But inside, the heart feels heavy. They say to themselves, I tried my best this year. I stayed patient. I kept going. Yet the heart still feels burdened. If that is how you are feeling as a new year approaches, then this message is for you. Because sometimes the heart does not need more answers. It needs reassurance. And that is what we will speak about today. Why the heart feels heavier as a new year approaches. My dear brothers and sisters, there is something very real that happens to the heart when a year is coming to an end. And many people do not even realize it until they begin to feel unusually tired inside. As the calendar changes, the heart begins to quietly review everything that passed. Not because it wants to be negative, but because it naturally remembers effort, hope, and expectation. It remembers the prayers you made quietly, the patience you showed when things did not go your way, and the moments where you told yourself, just hold on a little longer. As a new year approaches, the heart starts asking questions that were buried during busy days. Why did some things not change, even though I tried? Why did certain pains stay longer than I expected? Why do I still feel this weight, even though I stayed hopeful? These questions do not come from weakness, they come from a heart that cared deeply and tried sincerely. Many people think that feeling heavy at the end of a year means they failed, but that is not true. Often it means they carried more than others ever noticed. It means they kept going when they were tired, stayed calm when they were hurt, and remained respectful even when it was difficult. A heart that feels heavy is often a heart that did not give up easily. And this is important to understand, because if you enter a new year believing that your tiredness means defeat, you will be unfair to yourself. Feeling emotionally tired does not mean you are ungrateful. It does not mean you lack faith. It simply means your heart has been working hard, silently, without rest. So if you feel a weight in your chest as 2026 approaches, do not rush to judge yourself. Pause and recognize that this heaviness may actually be a sign that you stayed patient longer than most, that you tried even when you felt unseen, and that your heart needs reassurance, not criticism. This is why we must speak gently to ourselves at moments like this. Because the heart listens closely at the end of a year, and how we treat it now will shape how we step into the next one. You are not failing because you feel tired inside. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the most dangerous thoughts that quietly enters the heart at the end of a year is the belief that feeling tired means something is wrong with you. People look at their life and say, I prayed, I stayed patient, I tried to do what was right, so why do I still feel worn out? And slowly, without realizing it, they begin to blame themselves for emotions that are completely human. Feeling tired does not mean you are weak. Feeling emotionally heavy does not mean you are ungrateful. And feeling drained does not mean you have lost your way. In fact, very often it means the opposite. It means you have been holding yourself together for a long time. It means you carried responsibility without complaint. It means you kept showing up when it would have been easier to give up quietly. There are people who walk into a new year feeling light because they avoided responsibility, avoided effort, and avoided caring too deeply. And then there are people who walk into a new year feeling heavy because they cared, they tried, they sacrificed, and they stayed consistent even when it hurt. These are not the same hearts. One escaped pressure, the other endured it. Many people confuse endurance with failure. They say, if I was doing well, I would feel better by now. But that is not how the heart works. The heart does not always feel relief immediately after effort. Sometimes it feels tired first. Sometimes it needs rest before it feels peace. And sometimes it needs reassurance before it finds strength again. Think about how many times you pushed yourself forward when you wanted to stop. How many times you chose calm over reaction. How many times you stayed respectful, even when you felt misunderstood. These choices take energy. They cost something internally. And when no one acknowledges that cost, the heart begins to feel heavy in silence. So if you are entering 2026 feeling emotionally worn, do not label yourself as broken. Instead, recognize that your heart has been working without rest. Recognize that you have been giving without always receiving. Recognize that you have been holding things together when others never saw the effort. This is why the heart needs kindness at moments like this. Not pressure, not self-criticism, not comparison, kindness. Because when the heart is treated gently, it recovers. But when it is blamed, it closes in on itself. And this is the reminder we must take with us as we move forward. Feeling tired is not a sign that you failed. It is often a sign that you stayed longer than most would have, you tried harder than most could have, and now your heart is asking very quietly to be treated with mercy. When the pain is quiet and no one sees it, some of the hardest pain a person carries is not the pain that comes from a big loss or a loud moment, but the pain that slowly builds when no one notices how much you are holding inside. It is the pain of continuing to function, continuing to smile, continuing to meet responsibilities, while the heart quietly becomes tired of pretending that everything is fine. Many people around you may look at you and think you are strong. They may think you are coping well. They may think you have moved on, but they do not see the conversations you have with yourself late at night. They do not hear the questions that repeat in your mind when the world is quiet. They do not feel the heaviness you carry while still trying to be kind, patient, and respectful. This kind of pain is dangerous, not because it makes you weak, but because it stays unspoken. When pain is not expressed, it does not disappear. It settles quietly in the heart. It shows itself as exhaustion. It shows itself as a lack of motivation. It shows itself as emotional distance, even from people you care about. And this is where many good people begin to doubt themselves. They say, why am I feeling like this when nothing looks wrong? They begin to feel guilty for being tired, guilty for needing space, guilty for wanting rest. But the truth is, the heart was never meant to carry everything alone for long periods of time. There are moments when you give more than you receive. Moments when you understand others more than they understand you. Moments when you forgive, but the memory still hurts. Over time, these moments collect. They do not shout. They do not demand attention. They simply sit inside the heart, quietly waiting to be acknowledged. As 2026 approaches, many hearts are carrying exactly this kind of quiet weight. Not dramatic pain, not visible pain, but the pain of being strong for too long without relief. And if this is you, understand something very important. Your heart is not complaining, it is communicating. It is telling you that it needs care, reassurance, and space to breathe again. You do not need to explain your tiredness to everyone. You do not need to justify why you feel the way you do. Sometimes, the most healing thing is simply recognizing that your feelings are real, even if they are quiet. Because once the heart feels seen, even by you alone, it begins to soften. This is why it is so important not to ignore what you feel as you enter a new year. Carrying unacknowledged pain forward only makes it heavier, but gently recognizing it without judgment allows healing to begin. And healing does not always come from changing circumstances. Often, it begins when the heart is finally treated with honesty and compassion. Letting go without guilt and moving forward with wisdom. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the hardest things for the heart to learn is how to let go without feeling guilty. Many people believe that holding on to pain is a sign of loyalty, that remembering every hurt is proof of sincerity, and that moving forward means they are somehow being careless with the past. But this belief slowly exhausts the heart and keeps it trapped in moments that were never meant to last forever. Letting go does not mean denying what happened. It does not mean pretending the pain was small, and it does not mean that what hurt you no longer matters. Letting go simply means you refuse to let yesterday decide how tomorrow will feel. It means you accept that some experiences taught you lessons rather than giving you what you hoped for. And that is not a loss, but a form of growth. Many hearts struggle here because they think that if they stop revisiting the pain, they are being unfair to themselves. But in reality, constantly reopening old wounds does not honor your strength, it drains it. The heart was never designed to live permanently in survival mode. It was designed to heal, to reflect, and then to move forward with wisdom. As 2026 approaches, this lesson becomes especially important. A new year does not demand that you forget what happened, but it does invite you to choose what you carry with you. You can carry lessons without carrying bitterness. You can carry memories without carrying weight. You can carry awareness without carrying fear. These choices shape how the heart feels far more than circumstances ever will. There are some things you prayed for that did not arrive. There are some efforts that were never rewarded the way you expected. There are some moments that changed you quietly without giving you closure. Holding on to these moments endlessly will not rewrite them. But releasing their emotional grip allows your heart to breathe again. And understand this clearly. Choosing peace does not mean you have lost sensitivity. It means you have gained clarity. It means you understand that your heart deserves rest just as much as it deserves purpose. It means you are learning how to protect your inner world without becoming cold or distant. This is why letting go must be gentle, not forced, not rushed, and not done with anger toward yourself. It is a gradual decision made every day where you remind yourself that you are allowed to move forward without carrying everything that once hurt you. And each time you choose this, even quietly, the heart grows lighter. So if you feel hesitant about releasing certain thoughts or memories as the new year approaches, be patient with yourself. Healing is not about erasing the past, it is about refusing to live inside it. And when the heart learns this balance, it enters the future, not empty, but free. When the heart is tired of being strong all the time, my dear brothers and sisters, there comes a point in life when the heart is not broken, but simply tired of being strong. It is not asking for attention and it is not looking for sympathy. It is quietly saying, I need rest. Many people misunderstand this feeling and think it means they are giving up, but in reality, it often means they have been holding on for far longer than they should have without pause. There are people who have learned how to survive difficult days so well that no one notices how much effort it takes. They wake up, fulfill their responsibilities, show kindness, and keep their composure, even when the heart feels heavy. Over time, this constant strength becomes exhausting, not because the person is weak, but because strength without rest slowly drains the soul. The heart was not created to carry pressure endlessly. It needs moments of calm. It needs reassurance. It needs to feel safe enough to stop bracing itself. When it does not receive this, it becomes quiet, withdrawn, and tired, even if everything looks normal on the outside. Many people enter a new year carrying this hidden exhaustion. They say, I will rest later. I will feel better later. I just need to push a little more. But the heart cannot always be postponed. When it is ignored for too long, it does not shout. It simply slows down. Joy feels distant. Motivation feels heavy. And even good moments feel muted. This does not mean something is wrong with you. It means your heart has been faithful, patient, and consistent without enough care in return. It means you gave more than you received emotionally. And hearts like this do not need pressure to improve. They need permission to breathe. As 2026 approaches, this is an important reminder. You do not need to enter a new year proving how strong you are. You do not need to carry everything alone to feel worthy. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is admit that you are tired and allow yourself to slow down without guilt. Rest does not mean you are abandoning your responsibilities. It means you are restoring your inner balance. It means you are choosing long-term peace over short-term endurance. And when the heart is given rest, it does not become lazy. It becomes clearer, calmer, and more focused. So if you feel worn out, emotionally drained, or quietly exhausted as the year ends, listen to what your heart is asking for. Not more pressure, not more comparison, but kindness. Because when the heart is treated gently, it recovers its strength naturally, without force. And this kind of strength, the one that grows from rest and reassurance, is far more lasting than the strength that comes from constantly pushing yourself beyond your limits. When trust begins to return quietly to the heart, after the heart has been tired for a long time, something very gentle begins to happen when it is finally treated with kindness. Trust starts to return, not loudly and not all at once, but quietly, in small moments that many people do not immediately recognize. It shows up when the heart stops racing over every worry, when the mind pauses before assuming the worst, and when you begin to feel that carrying everything alone is no longer necessary. For a long time, the heart may have felt like it had to control every outcome. It felt responsible for fixing everything, holding everyone together, and making sure nothing fell apart. But this constant pressure slowly teaches the heart to live in fear rather than peace. When rest enters the heart, even briefly, It begins to understand that not everything requires struggle and not every unanswered question is a threat. This is where trust grows. Not because all problems suddenly disappear, but because the heart learns that it does not need to be tense to survive. It learns that patience is not about forcing yourself to endure endlessly, but about knowing when to step back and allow calm to replace worry. Trust grows when you realize that your effort was seen even when it felt unnoticed, and that nothing sincere is ever lost. As 2026 approaches, many people are still unsure about what lies ahead. They worry about their future, their family, their health, their stability, and their purpose. These concerns are natural, but they become heavy when the heart believes it must solve everything in advance. Trust gently reminds the heart that it was never meant to carry tomorrow before it arrives. When trust begins to return, you notice changes within yourself. You react less quickly, you listen more carefully, you feel less pressure to explain yourself to everyone. You become more selective with what you carry emotionally. This is not withdrawal, it is wisdom. It is the heart learning how to protect its peace without closing itself off. There is a quiet strength in trusting that what is meant for you will reach you and that what has passed was never meant to stay. This understanding does not erase pain, but it softens its grip. It allows the heart to breathe again without fear of being disappointed at every turn. So if you find yourself feeling a little calmer than before, a little less anxious than you were months ago, do not dismiss it. That is trust returning. It is the heart slowly remembering that it does not need to live in constant tension to be safe. And this trust, once it settles in, prepares you to enter a new year, not with fear, but with quiet confidence, stepping into 2026 with a heart that trusts again. My dear brothers and sisters, as you stand at the door of a new year, there is something very important your heart needs to hear, especially after everything it has carried quietly. You are not entering 2026 empty-handed, even if it feels that way. You are entering it with lessons, strength, patience, and a depth of understanding that only comes from walking through difficulty without losing yourself. Many people believe that a new year requires a new version of themselves, stronger, faster, more successful, more confident. But in reality, what the heart needs most is not reinvention, but reassurance. It needs to know that it is allowed to move forward without dragging every pain behind it. It needs permission to hope again without fear of disappointment. You may be entering 2026 without all the answers you wanted. You may still be unsure about certain relationships, certain plans, or certain outcomes. But uncertainty does not mean you are lost. It means your story is still unfolding. And stories that unfold slowly often develop the deepest meaning. There were moments this past year where you questioned yourself. Moments where you wondered if your patience was worth it. Moments where you felt overlooked, misunderstood, or emotionally alone. These moments did not weaken you. They shaped you. They taught you how to remain calm when emotions were tested, how to stay respectful when it would have been easier to react, and how to protect your heart without closing it completely. As you step into 2026, understand that you are not starting from zero, you are starting from experience. Every time you chose patience over anger, every time you chose silence over conflict, every time you chose to keep going when your heart was tired, you were building something inside yourself that cannot be taken away. This inner foundation matters more than any visible achievement. There is a quiet fear many people carry into a new year. The fear that the pain will repeat, the fear that the effort will go unnoticed again, the fear that things will remain the same. But fear grows when the heart believes it is alone. And the moment the heart understands that it is not alone, fear begins to lose its grip. You were never meant to carry the weight of tomorrow before it arrives. Worrying about the future does not prepare the heart, it exhausts it. Preparing the heart means learning how to trust that effort, sincerity, and patience are never wasted, even when their results are delayed. Entering 2026 with trust does not mean ignoring reality. It means facing reality with calm instead of panic. It means acknowledging that challenges may come, but also knowing that you have already survived difficult days you once thought you could not. The same heart that endured before is still within you now. There is also something very freeing about accepting that not everything will go according to plan. When the heart stops demanding perfection from life, it finds peace in progress. When it stops comparing timelines, it learns to appreciate its own journey. And when it stops measuring worth by outcomes alone, it finally feels lighter. Some of you are entering 2026 carrying unresolved emotions toward people who hurt you, disappointed you, or failed to understand you. Carrying these emotions does not make you weak, it makes you honest. But holding on to them indefinitely will only burden your heart. Releasing emotional weight does not mean excusing behavior, it means choosing not to let it control your future. You are allowed to move forward without explaining yourself to everyone. You are allowed to protect your peace without guilt. You are allowed to grow quietly without announcing it. Growth does not need permission from the past. As the new year begins, remind yourself gently that you have done enough blaming yourself, enough doubting your intentions, enough questioning your worth. The fact that you are still standing, still hoping, and still listening to reminders like this is proof that your heart has not given up. And when the heart has not given up, there is always room for light to enter. So step into 2026 slowly. Do not rush your healing. Do not pressure your heart to feel differently overnight. Allow yourself to settle. Allow yourself to trust again. Allow yourself to believe that peace can return even if it comes quietly. You may not see immediate change, but calm will grow. You may not feel instant relief, but reassurance will settle. And one day you will look back and realize that the weight you once carried no longer defines how you walk forward. This is how the heart heals. Not through force, not through denial, but through patience, trust, and gentle hope. And this is how you enter a new year. Not fearful, not broken, but grounded, steady, and quietly strong. My dear brothers and sisters, before you move forward, take a moment and be gentle with yourself. You have carried more than people realize, and yet you are still standing, still hoping, still listening. That alone is a sign that your heart has not given up. Do not rush your healing as you step into 2026. Do not pressure yourself to feel strong every day. Some days, peace comes slowly, and that is okay. What matters is that you keep your heart soft, your intentions sincere, and your trust alive. You are not late, you are not forgotten, and you are not alone. Walk into the new year with calm steps, even if they feel small. A calm heart goes further than a tired one, and what is meant for you will reach you at the right time. Ya Allah, you know what our hearts carry that no one else can see? You know the tiredness we hide and the pain we never explain. Ya Allah, as we step into 2026, lighten our hearts from what has weighed us down. Replace our worries with calm, our fear with trust, and our exhaustion with peace. Ya Allah, heal the hearts that are broken quietly. Comfort those who have been patient longer than they thought they could be. And grant relief to those who feel unseen and unheard. Ya Allah, do not let us enter this new year carrying pain that was never meant to stay. Give us strength without hardness, patience without bitterness, and hope without fear. Ya Allah, make the coming days gentler than the past ones. Fill our lives with peace that settles deeply in the heart, and grant us contentment that does not depend on circumstances. Ameen.